The ballroom shimmered with light, every chandelier reflecting the glittering wealth of the city's elite. Designer suits, champagne flutes, and meaningless smiles filled the space like perfume in the air. At the far end of the hall, a raised platform bore the weight of a name that commanded empires: Ryan Javeri, CEO of Javeri Enterprises. But Ryan wasn't on the platform. He stood in the shadows, watching the crowd with his usual cold detachment. Every camera turned to him, yet no one dared to approach. His presence was magnetic and terrifying. And behind those sharp eyes hid a secret known only to a few. He couldn't touch anyone, especially women. Not since that night. Just as the MC stepped up to announce the company's quarterly breakthrough, a sharp commotion echoed from the rear entrance. Heads turned. Murmurs rose. And then she appeared. Not in silk. Not in heels. Not in diamonds. But in worn sandals, a simple courtie, and eyes that didn't blink in the face of hundreds of sneering strangers. "Who let her in?" a woman hissed. Isla clutched a thick envelope to her chest. Her voice was small but steady. "I was told to deliver this to Mr. Ryan. My cousin said it was urgent." "Your cousin is a janitor," a man sneered. "You expect us to believe this is urgent?" Security moved in. The cameras were already rolling. She was ruining the night. "Get her out of here." A guard grabbed her wrist. Ryan hadn't moved, but his eyes, those calculating eyes, were fixed on her.
She didn't beg.
She didn't cry. She stared directly into the lights and into his gaze. "Then let Mr. Javeri say it himself," she said, her voice rising. "Let him look me in the eye and say I don't belong here." The crowd gasped. Silence felt like a slap. Then he stepped forward. Ryan walked past executives and investors like they didn't exist. Every movement was measured, precise. The guard released her as he approached. Isla stood still, pulse pounding. He stopped inches from her. The distance felt electric. His voice was low. "What's your name?" "Isla." "What's in the envelope?" "My cousin overheard someone planning to sell company data. These are the printouts." He was scared. "So I came." Ryan took the envelope without touching her hand. Glanced inside. His eyes darkened. The documents were real. "Leave," he said, not to her, but to the crowd. The press was ushered out. Lights dimmed. Executives scrambled. Only she remained. "You came here alone," he said softly, not looking at her. "In front of cameras, knowing they'd humiliate you." "I came to do what's right," Isla replied. "Even if it costs me everything." That silence again. Heavy. Meaningful. He closed the envelope and turned to walk away, but paused. "You're brave, Miss Isla. Or foolish. I'm not sure which yet." She lifted her chin. "That makes two of us, sir." Later that night, Ryan sat alone in his penthouse, staring at the city skyline, but all he saw were her eyes. No woman had ever defied him like that. No woman had stood that close without triggering panic in his chest. Until her. He looked down at his hand, the same hand that had held the envelope she passed him. His fingers weren't trembling. His heart wasn't racing. It was still,
steady, calm.
And then, like a tidal wave crashing through glass, he remembered her face, her fire, her voice. And just like that, he couldn't stop thinking about her. The Javeri Enterprises building pierced the clouds like it belonged to another world. Isla stood at its base, heart racing, clutching the crisp white envelope that had shattered the normal rhythm of her life. "You're hired." Two words that felt less like a job offer and more like a summons. She hadn't applied. She hadn't asked. And yet here she was, called into the belly of a beast where she clearly didn't belong. Security eyed her up and down as if her village-born bones might stain the marble floors. But Isla didn't flinch. She straightened her shoulders, tucked away her nerves, and walked through the revolving doors like they couldn't crush her. Inside the executive floor, Ryan Javeri watched her arrival on a silent monitor. There she was again, the girl with fire in her eyes and dust on her shoes. He had told himself it was curiosity, a passing interest, gratitude even, but deep inside, something had cracked open that night. And now he couldn't stop watching her. Why hadn't he panicked when she stood so close? Why didn't his skin crawl like it always did when women leaned in, smiled, reached for his hand? Why did her voice echo in his chest like it belonged there? "Sir," his assistant broke the silence. "She's in the lobby." Ryan's fingers curled against the glass desk. "Send her up." Isla stepped into the elevator, greeted only by silence and chrome. Her reflection stared back at her, nervous but determined. "Don't let them smell fear," she reminded herself. "This isn't their world. It's yours now, too." When the elevator doors opened, she was met not with an assistant, but with him. Ryan. In person. Up close. His gaze locked on her the moment she stepped out. He wore the kind of suit that cost more than her family's yearly income. But it wasn't the clothes that stunned her, it was the contradiction in his eyes.
Cold.
Curious.
And wounded.
"Miss Isla," he said, voice smooth and low. "You came." "You didn't leave much of a choice," she replied, lifting her chin. "Was this a real offer, or an order?" His lip twitched, something close to amusement. "That depends on how you handle your first hour." He led her to a sleek, glass-walled room, empty, quiet, except for a single file on the table. She opened it. The same documents she had delivered, but annotated, rewritten. "You corrected the errors," he said, folding his arms. "You found inconsistencies no one else on my team noticed. I grew up fixing broken machines. I notice what doesn't fit." Ryan tilted his head. "You grew up in a village?" "Yes." "Then what makes you think you can survive this world?" "I don't think I can," she said boldly. "I know I already am." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Ryan crossed the room, slowly, and stopped in front of her. "I have a condition," he said. "I don't touch people. And I don't let them touch me." Isla's brow furrowed. "You're telling me this why?" "Because you're different." Her breath caught. "I don't know what it is about you," he continued, voice rawer than he intended. "But you don't trigger me." Isla stepped back, suddenly aware of the charged space between them. "I didn't come here to be your experiment, Mr. Javeri. I didn't invite you here to be one." Silence fell. Then he said quietly, "You'll be working under me. Directly." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I need someone who sees things others don't. Someone who won't lie to my face. Someone who doesn't belong, so she can see through those who pretend they do." Isla folded her arms. "You don't trust your own people?" "I trust no one," he replied. "Not until they bleed for me." "And you think I'm willing to bleed?" "I think you already have." Something shifted then. Not attraction, something deeper. Recognition. Two broken pieces from different worlds, drawn by the same invisible thread. As she turned to leave, her hand brushed the edge of his desk. He didn't move. Not a flinch. Not a blink. Instead, he reached forward. His fingers grazed her wrist. No shaking. No panic. Just a spark, like static under her skin. His eyes widened. Isla pulled back instinctively. Her breath hitched. He looked stunned. "He touched me and nothing happened?" Neither of them spoke. But both knew something irreversible had just begun. The whisper of her skin on his fingertips still burned in Ryan's memory. It had been hours since Isla left his office, but his hand, the one that had touched her wrist, still felt alive. He stared at it now like it belonged to someone else. No panic. No nausea. No shaking. Just warmth. Sharp.
Real.
What disturbed him wasn't just the absence of fear, it was the craving that followed. He wanted to touch her again. And that terrified him more than the condition ever had. Isla sat in the dim glow of her small apartment, her hands wrapped around a chipped mug of tea. Her mind raced, heart pounding for reasons she didn't dare name. She had grown up hearing tales of powerful men, ruthless men. But none of those stories ever warned her about men like Ryan Javeri, cold on the outside, yet haunted behind the eyes. He hadn't flinched when he touched her. But she had. Because that spark, that current between them, it wasn't just electricity. It was recognition. Something in her bones said, "This man could ruin you." The next morning, Isla stepped off the elevator straight into chaos. 3 staff members suspended. Security breach traced. The media circling like vultures. She hadn't even clocked in. "Good morning," Ryan's deep voice called from his glass office. His eyes locked onto hers like she was the only stable point in the storm. "Join me." Every head turned. Whispers flew. Isla entered, spine stiff. He didn't look up from the file in his hands. "Close the door." She obeyed. "I assume you've heard the noise? You mean the gossip about the village girl who bewitched the CEO?" she said coolly. "Yes." He finally looked at her. "And does it bother you?" "It should, but strangely no." A beat of silence. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk. "Why not?" "Because gossip only sticks to people who care. I don't." Ryan's eyes darkened, not in anger, but something else. Respect. Interest. Something primal. "I didn't bring you here to be liked," he said. "I brought you here because you see through things. And right now, I need clarity more than comfort." Isla folded her arms. "So, you want the truth?" "Always." "Then here it is," she said, voice firm. "You're surrounded by fear, not loyalty. They smile to your face, but sell you out the moment your back turns. And you trust no one because you're too used to controlling everything." His stare was unreadable, but inside, something in him fractured. No one had spoken to him like that since his mother died. Later that evening, Ryan stood on the balcony of his penthouse, the skyline cold and glittering around him. Below, the city pulsed with life. But all he could feel was her voice inside his head. "They smile to your face but sell you out." He had built walls, so high not even touch could pass through them. But she had walked right in. And now she was all he could see. The next day, Isla walked into the boardroom and froze. The room was packed with senior executives.
And Ryan.
"Miss Isla," he said calmly. "Present the findings." She blinked. "What?" "You were the one who caught the breach. Now explain how."
Gasps.
Snickers. A few barely hidden smirks. But Isla didn't flinch. She stepped forward, took the tablet, and began. 10 minutes in, the laughter died. 20 minutes in, silence. She pointed to timestamps, backdoor code access, and narrowed the leak to a single name. "Brilliant," Ryan said at the end. "Dismissed." But as she turned to leave, the executive assistant from earlier, Karine, spoke up. "So impressive. For a village girl," she said, voice sweetly venomous. "I suppose touching the CEO does come with benefits." Isla froze. Ryan's jaw tightened. Enough. But Isla turned around, gaze calm. "If being smart and honest is a benefit, then yes, I'll take it. But unlike others, I don't need to flirt to be noticed." Karine's face went pale. Isla walked out without another word, but Ryan was on his feet. He followed her into the hall. "Isla."
She stopped.
"Don't defend me. Let them think what they want. But don't make me your shield just because I make you feel something." "I don't feel something," he whispered, stepping closer. "I feel everything around you. That's the problem." She turned, eyes blazing. "Then fix yourself before you break me." He reached out, instinctive, raw, and this time, he touched her face. No gloves. No panic. Just fire. Real, dangerous fire. For a moment, they stared at each other, breathing the same air. And then Isla whispered, "Why me?" And Ryan whispered back, "Because you make the silence loud." The video went live at 6:03 p.m. Within an hour, it had over 120,000 views. By midnight, it was trending under hashtags like #VillageGirlAffair, #PostScandal, and the most damning, #HeTouchedHer. In the grainy footage, slowed down frame by frame, the world saw the untouchable Ryan Javeri gently caress a woman's face. And she, not a socialite, not a heiress, a no-name girl from nowhere. The internet erupted. Ryan stood in the center of his office, the massive glass walls behind him reflecting a stormy skyline. Phones buzzed. PR teams panicked. Board members demanded statements. But he remained still, shoulders rigid, watching the moment of his undoing on a loop. The moment he touched her. He didn't flinch, didn't pull away, didn't panic. He had spent 10 years avoiding that exact moment. 10 years since the trauma that made his skin crawl at the thought of closeness. And yet Isla had undone it in seconds.
His assistant burst in.
Sir, Karine is claiming she recorded it to protect the company's image. She's implying the girl manipulated you. His voice was a cold whisper. Remove her. But sir, I said remove her. Across the city, Isla sat in the dark, her phone lighting up with every cruel message and reposted meme. She wasn't crying, but her throat burned with the sting of injustice. Gold digger. Village vixen. Poor girl with rich ambition. Each headline felt like a slap. She hadn't asked for this. She hadn't wanted the spotlight.
She just wanted to do the right thing. But now?
Now she was a scandal. A knock came at her apartment door.
Soft.
Hesitant. She opened it slowly and froze.
Ryan.
No driver. No bodyguard. No coat. Just him. Wet from the rain, breath shallow, eyes stormy. He stepped inside without asking. His presence filled the tiny room like gravity itself. You shouldn't be here, she whispered. I had to see you. I didn't leak the video, she said quickly. I would never. I know, he said. I know who did. Silence. He looked around her apartment. Bare walls, second-hand couch, a tea kettle still steaming. This is where you live? He asked quietly. She nodded. You're brilliant. Fearless. And yet you come back to this. Isla crossed her arms. This place has never lied to me. That's more than I can say about most. He exhaled sharply. I never meant to expose you to this world.
But you did, she said.
And now everyone's watching me like I'm a threat. Or a joke. Ryan stepped forward. They're watching because I touched you. Because you're the only person I've ever touched. And they can't understand that. Isla's breath caught. He continued, voice low and unraveling. When I was a teenager, a woman I trusted betrayed me. I tried to fight back, but no one believed me. Everyone said I was weak. Sensitive. A man with panic attacks? They laughed. He looked down at his hands. I trained my body to fear touch. Conditioned myself to resist anything that could make me feel. His voice broke. Until you. Isla's eyes softened. Ryan. I don't want this to be a game. I don't want to hurt you, Isla. But I can't go back to the emptiness I had before you. He stepped closer, reaching, then stopped. May I? She nodded once. And he touched her cheek. No fear. No pain. Just warmth. Then, slowly, achingly, he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't passionate or urgent. It was searching.
Raw.
A man tasting something he thought he'd never have again. When they broke apart, Isla's hands trembled. This can't fix everything. I know, he whispered, but it's the only truth I have left. Ryan was still in her kitchen, gently drying his soaked shirt with a hand towel. He looked so out of place, a billionaire in a room no bigger than his private elevator, yet so human in that moment, so stripped of his armor. She wanted to tell him. She should have told him. But something, some primal warning in her gut, held her back. So instead, she said, I need time. He paused, his eyes locking on hers. Time to run? Time to breathe, she whispered. He nodded, but the quiet between them was no longer soft. It was sharp. The next morning, Ryan's name was everywhere again. Juveri CEO's mental health under scrutiny. Sources claim touch aversion is psychosomatic. Can he lead? Who is the girl at the center of the storm? The vultures had tasted blood. Inside the boardroom, Ryan faced a wall of hostile stares. One by one, shareholders pushed forward demands, public apologies, stepping down temporarily, therapy disclosures. But he sat still, spine straight, voice unwavering. I will not abandon my company because you fear my vulnerability. It's not fear, Karine said coolly from the end of the table. It's liability. If the world sees you as broken, so do our clients. Ryan's eyes turned to steel. Then let them watch me rise from it. But in that moment, Karine smiled. She had more cards to play. Meanwhile, Isla sat on a park bench, phone clutched in her lap. She'd done something reckless. She called the number back. It didn't ring. It didn't exist. She stared ahead, heart pounding. Her mind spiraled through questions she had no answers to. What history? Whose life? What had she walked into? Then, out of the shadows, an elderly woman sat beside her, wrapped in a shawl, skin like parchment, eyes sharp as needles. You don't know what you're stirring, girl, the woman said, staring straight ahead. Isla turned slowly. Excuse me? Javeri blood isn't clean. It never was. The mother knew. She died too fast. But the boy, he never saw it coming. Isla's breath hitched. Who are you? But the woman stood, silent, and walked away, vanishing like a ghost. That evening, Isla returned to the Javeri building, storm surging in her chest. She barged into Ryan's office without knocking. He stood near the window, back to her, shirt sleeves rolled up, eyes heavy with exhaustion. I need to know, she demanded. What happened to your mother?
His body stiffened.
What are you talking about? Was it really an accident?
He turned slowly.
There was something hollow in his eyes. My mother was silenced, he said quietly. She found out my father was laundering money through charities, abusing power, hurting people. She was going to expose him. Isla's heart stopped. She died in a car crash. 2 weeks later. You think he? I don't think. I know. The room swam. And now you're next, she whispered. He nodded once. She stepped forward, grasped his hand, his bare hand. He didn't flinch. I got a call, she said. Someone said to leave you, or you'd end up like her. A long silence. Then Ryan moved, fast, fierce, and pulled her into his arms. The man who once feared touch now held her like she was oxygen. No one touches you, he said, voice trembling.
Not them.
Not fate. Not fear. She pulled back, eyes glistening. Then let me help you fight this. You already are, he said, by just existing. Cliffhanger ending. Just then, Ryan's desk phone buzzed. His secretary's voice came through, panicked. Sir, the press has obtained a sealed file from 15 years ago. It's spreading fast. About your mother's death. A pause. And they've connected it to Isla. Ryan's face drained of color. And Isla's world shattered in slow motion. What have they done? CEO's dead mother linked to village girl's family. Coincidence or cover-up? Isla Khan, daughter of the reporter who vanished after investigating the Javeris. Is the CEO's lover the key to a murder buried for 15 years? In a matter of hours, the truth Isla never knew she was born into became a national scandal. She wasn't just a poor girl anymore. She was a threat to a dynasty. Isla stared at the images flashing across the office TV, photos of her late mother, Meher Khan, overlaid with black and white files she'd never seen before. One grainy headline read, Young journalist claims billionaires are hiding secrets that could kill careers and people. The article had been dated just 3 weeks before Meher's mysterious disappearance. Her heart pounded as the pieces fell into place. I didn't know, she whispered, voice trembling. I didn't know she died chasing your family. Ryan stood across the room, frozen. His jaw was clenched, fists tight, like the air itself had turned against him. She wasn't just a reporter, he said finally. She was the only one who ever believed my mother. Meher promised to help her expose everything. Isla turned toward him, shaken. And then she died too. Their eyes locked, two people raised on opposite ends of the same buried truth. Do you think, her voice cracked, do you think my mother died because of your father? Ryan didn't speak. He didn't have to. His silence was the answer. That night, Isla stood on the rooftop of the Javeri building, cold wind slicing across her skin. The city stretched below, glittering like 1,000 lies stitched together. Everything had changed. Her mother's death wasn't an accident. Her love was tied to a legacy soaked in betrayal. And the man who had made her feel alive again was the son of the man who had likely destroyed her family. Behind her, the rooftop door creaked open. She didn't turn. "I understand if you walk away," Ryan said quietly. "I should," Isla replied. "Every reason in the world says I should." He stepped closer, slow and hesitant. But I've never been a coward," she said, tears burning her eyes. "And if I walk now, I'll regret it for the rest of my life." He exhaled like he hadn't breathed in hours. "I don't want your pity," she added. "And I don't want to be your weakness." "You're not," he said. "You're my strength." She finally turned to face him. "Then tell me the truth." "All of it." Ryan nodded once. "My father ran a web of illegal charities and shell companies. My mother found out and confided in your mom. They were planning to go public until they both disappeared. I was 17. Powerless." His voice wavered. "And now?" Isla asked. "Now I'm not," he said. "I have the board, the media, and the family name. And I'm going to destroy everything my father built." She searched his face for hesitation, found none. "But it will cost me everything," he added. "And you." Isla stepped forward. "You already have me. But if you do this, you better finish it." 2 days later, Ryan walked into the Javeri boardroom in a black suit with no tie and fire in his eyes. Reporters swarmed. Executives stiffened. He faced the cameras directly. "I've been silent long enough." He placed a thick folder on the table, documents, confessions, transactions. 15 years ago, my father committed crimes in the name of power. He silenced voices. He buried truths, including the deaths of my mother, Layla Javeri, and journalist Meher Khan. Gasps echoed across the room. "I will be stepping down as CEO of Javeri Enterprises, effective immediately. But I'm not leaving. I'm turning this company inside out. Every skeleton will be brought to light. And if I fall with it, so be it." Flashbulbs exploded. Chaos reigned. But Ryan stood still, finally free. Back at Isla's apartment, she watched the live stream with shaking hands. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You were warned. Now you'll pay the price." Cliffhanger ending. That night, a brick smashed through Isla's window. Attached was a note. "Next time, it won't be a warning." And just outside, in the shadows, a man with a scar watched her window, waiting.